Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the HG Gundam The Origin Waff. So I guess the correct pronunciation is probably supposed to be something more like Waff, sort of. Anyway, I'm just going to call it Waff. Just because I can't speak any German at all. I don't really know anything about speaking German or the correct pronunciation, so I'm just not going to try. I'm just going to call it by the spelling, which is W-A-F-F. So, big thank you to MindFenix Hobby Store, of course, for sending me this kit to share with you guys. It's an interesting kit, I gotta say. I think it's a really good-looking kit if you're going to be putting some more work into it. Just out of the box, though, I have to say, honestly, I think it looks a little bit boring, a little bit bland, just as it is, just because it's so basic. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. Just like it doesn't really have any like real striking features about it at all, really. So it's kind of cool for what it is as like sort of the prototype mobile suit for like before the Zaku, even like for Zeon. But just like the kit, just like this, as it is, yeah, I think it's just very bland. The weapons do help a little bit just because the shield is pretty unique. The bazooka is just kind of a bazooka, nothing really too crazy about that. It is a pretty nice design though. The ability to change arms with the mobile worker and the prototype goof is pretty cool too. I'll show you that here in just a little bit. Overall, the kit itself is, in terms of its articulation, is going to be pretty much the same as the Zaku 2 and the high mobility Zaku 2 from Gundam The Origin, as it's going to be using mostly those same kind of inner frame joint parts for that. So the articulation is going to be all very similar to that, which is good. I think the articulation of the Dom test type, was also very good. Probably the best of the HG The Origin kits so far, but this one is going to be good too. And the other nice thing about this is that just it comes with a lot of stickers, but those are all just mostly just marking stickers. There's no colors, there's no stickers for like color apps or anything. Only the eye, pretty much, and the camera on the bazooka are really going to be the only ones that are like kind of color apps that are missing from the kit. The rest are all just marking stickers, so I haven't really put those on in this case, but you do have that option. So if you do use those stickers, that is another good thing about this kit, I suppose. Let's go ahead and take a closer look, and we'll talk about some of these articulation points. As with most of the Origins kits, it is packed with a lot of really nice details, so again, that's why I said, just as the kit is out of the box, I think it's a little bit boring, but definitely painted up, it's going to look really nice, especially maybe changing the color scheme. I mean, if you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know that like grayscale color schemes is something that I've done a lot of over the past year or so. But this one, I don't know, and especially because this brown is not really the right color. This is like much more brown than it's supposed to be. If we take a look at the reference photo here, it's definitely more of just a dark gray, almost black kind of color, and what it's kind of supposed to be here according to the official images. That's definitely a much different color. But, I mean, that's not bad, I think, but anyway. Point is, the neck is able to go up. Head is able to look up about that far. Not too bad, I think, because of this very wide opening here, vertically wide opening. There you can kind of make it look like the head, so you could maybe have it flying like this, and it still sort of looks like it's looking forward. Down is going to be just like that. Really not a whole lot of articulation here in the neck. The neck piece is slightly different from the Zaku. It uses one of the pieces from the Zaku, but another piece is different in there. So you have this. Here, maybe you can see on the back, that sort of part that just looks like lined rings inside of there. That's new on that. The mono eye does move. Again, you just have to pop off the head. There you can see you just move that switch to one side if you wanted to move the eye. So I've got it moved there to the side. So you can do something like that. It would be really interesting to actually just like, if you're painting this, just paint two eyes on there. It would look kind of cool, I think. Look pretty interesting. That piece in there, the mono eye is not molded on there, so you're gonna have to like do some sort of masking, or the way you paint it in some way to paint a perfect circle on there, because that part is not raised. That black piece inside there for the mono eye is just all flat. So anyway, In the waist, it's going to be the same kind of waist articulation we've seen with the other Zakus. It's got a pretty good forward bend, just a bit there, and then back, but when you pull it all the way forward, this piece in the center then kind of gets in the way. When you go to move it back, it can be just sort of like not lined up correctly. It can be like kind of stuck like that, so you just have to kind of wiggle it a little bit around, and then you can move it back again about that much, exposing this much kind of gap here in the center, and then side to side. Basically, as you can see, a lot of this movement is just going to be coming from like separating this part here in the center a little bit, pulling it apart a little bit, and then you got a little bit more range of movement. As for the arms, the shoulder armor is kind of interesting. This inner piece, and then there's the outer piece. The inner piece, when you put it on there, just sort of is like kind of resting on there. It isn't really plugged into anything. And the outer piece sort of plugs onto the gray part in the center, like the joint part, so then that kind of holds the inner piece in place. So you kind of have like 3 layers in there, the arm itself, and then the second layer of armor, and then the outer layer of armor. So it's kind of interesting. What that does, as you can see here as I'll move the arm, that allows this inner piece to move. So when you move the arm up, it sort of pushes that inner piece out of the way. You're able to bring up the arm about that much, but you're able to bring the arms forward nice and far, because this has the same gimmick with the chest folding in, like with the other Zaku. I found it's quite tight though, so if you're doing that while the kit is painted, you're probably going to be scratching the paint here on the chest, so do be a little bit careful about that. I would recommend, if you're going to paint this kit, just don't do this maneuver, or just plan on doing it and having it stuck like that forever, because you're probably undoubtedly going to scratch that paint unless you maybe file out the inside of this piece a little bit just to give you a little bit more clearance. But that's that. Just because of the polycap, polycap inside there for the shoulder swings out, so you're going to have some pretty good forward movement there for the arm. And the arm is of course going to rotate, and nice double joint there to give you a really good range of elbow movement. The arm you're able to disconnect, same with the prototype goof and the mobile worker. You just pull off these 3 hooks here, kind of pins on the side. I don't know exactly what you would call them. It's kind of hard to get them all off and then gripping the thing at the same time, because then when you try to grip it, you'll just press them back down. But it just pulls off like that, and then you've got this kind of cool looking stub arm here, actually. This thing that you've got left over. Could maybe do something cool with that. But then the wrists are just on ball joints. The skirts are interesting. The front skirts are separated, and they're just going to move like so. Side skirts are going to move just a little bit. If you wanted to move these out of the way for the legs, you might be even better off just sort of like rotating them back. But yeah, not really going to have a whole lot of articulation there. The back skirt is fixed. Here on the back of the skirt, here's where we have the place where you can plug in some weapons. I'll show you that here momentarily. For the legs, again, just going to be pretty basic here. Rotating at the top, double joint in the knee. Just like with the Zaku, this whole knee part is sort of like exposed here, so the knee armor is going to shoot way up there. But you get a really nice bend there. The legs are going to be really basic in their shape, very simple, but lots of detail on there. And the ankles, again, the feet are going to be pretty much the same as the Zaku. When you bend them, bend the toe forward. Let's see if I can do it here. When you bend the toe forward, there we go. You'll get a little bit of a separation here. It's going to bend in the foot when you pull this out like that. So it's kind of interesting. There's the detail up underneath the feet. It's nice to see that the feet are fully detailed. There's no empty space in there. Overall, the ankles, though, are going to be really nice. They're going to allow you some really good angles there to the side, forward, and back, all pretty well. So overall, pretty nice articulation. There's nothing really anywhere to complain about. Nothing really anywhere that's like super amazing though either, so it's just kind of good. As for the accessories, we have an action-based connector, which is only for a like Bandai action base with a square action-based connection point. This is the underneath the waist. There's no place to plug in a peg, so I'm gonna have to check and see if this square part is going to fit onto my Kotobukiya base. Otherwise, I think I'm maybe not gonna be able to use that. Then for hand options, you can see on the kit I've got just the regular holding hands. For the left hand, we've just got this same sort of rifle gripping hand, or in this case a bazooka gripping hand, sort of open one. And this is, again, these hands are the same as from the Zaku kit. And then for the right hand, just a trigger finger hand that's going to be going on the bazooka, and the wrist is slightly bent for that to allow you to grab that without having too much of stuff banging into each other. Next we've got our heat hawk, both in active and inactive form. Of course the active one just all one piece here like that, inactive again all just one piece. And I noticed, actually this is I think the first time I noticed that the inactive one is actually shorter as well. The handle kind of is more in. It's kind of interesting. Then also we have the peg here, which is going to allow you to peg this either into the side skirt like so, or into the back skirt. Now this lower peg, this lower hole here is supposed to be for the bazooka, but this upper one, it doesn't say it in the instructions anywhere that I saw, but you can plug the heat hawk onto here as well. It fits really nicely into there if you want to have it on the back skirt. I prefer it on the back skirt, definitely. So if I were to have the heat hawk stuck on the kit somewhere, that's where I would put it. Now let's get to the shield. Next, here's our shield. Very basic, simple shield here, but interesting in the fact that it's so basic. Now this piece is kind of cool. This is what's going to attach onto the back of the arm, and then this just ball joint just pops into this track here, and that's going to allow you to move this up and down, and just sort of it's on the ball joint there, so the shield can kind of move around in different ways as well. And then we have our handle here as well. You can hold onto that if you so choose. This is just going to plug onto here like so, and there's that. A little bit derpy at the moment, as you can see, but we'll change that up here momentarily. Lastly, just want to talk about the bazooka. Now here's our bazooka. Really cool design. Again, I used the sticker there for the camera. Of course, it's just all molded in gray here. Really simple. I like that it's so simple, so it really looks like, I mean, it matches the look of the kit being so simple, right? The handle is kind of interesting here, and this is of course able to move up in there, so you can have it up over the shoulder and then down like that. It doesn't have any sort of secondary handle, so it's just going to be just like this. And then we have this piece, which is the same connection piece that we got with the Zaku 2, but where on the Zaku 2 this was connected onto the backpack. In this case it's supposed to connect onto the back skirt, so you're just supposed to plug that there, and you can then store the bazooka here on the back skirt. I'm not sure where it's supposed to attach. That was right, apparently it's supposed to attach there, so then it's attached onto the back skirt. It looks a little bit weird because it's like so far out to the side. You think like if it's like flying towards an enemy or something, you just want to shoot here and just explode the bazooka ammunition there, and you'd probably take out his arm or leg or something there in the process as well, if not more damage. But interesting design anyway. Now here's a look at some of the arm compatibility here between some of the Origins kits. That huge claw on the Waff here definitely makes it a lot more interesting. The goof is looking pretty cool there with that arm from the Waff. The mobile worker though, that arm is going to be a little bit too small. The actual like hook, like claw things on there that are supposed to clamp down around the arm, there's going to be a gap there because the arm is too small inside that space. So that's going to be a little bit weird. I think you could maybe use that other arm from the goof though in there, and then that would probably work better. I don't know. Anyway, but there's some cool options here that you can do with this stuff. I think I definitely really like the look of that huge claw there on the Waff. It's definitely looking pretty interesting, I think. Now obviously I've taken a little bit of creative liberty with this pose, as that arm is not really meant to be a rocket arm, but I just thought it'd be cool. Something kind of fun to do with that arm, since it definitely, I mean, it looks like it could be that if you wanted it to. What I've done here is basically just use my Kotobukiya stand there, and actually the peg hole inside the arm is the perfect size for a peg hole for an action base. So if you have something like this, you know, you could definitely do this, or just using a clear rod would work really well. Some sort of rod that you would just like plug into the back of the arm, and then at the base stub of the arm you'd just have to drill a hole there or something. I don't know, whatever you'd have to do, pin the clear piece in there or something. So as I said in the beginning of this review, the kit overall is really just going to be for people who want something that looks like what this is. If you want something, like if you really appreciate the look of this being like a very like early mobile suit, very early in sort of the production of mobile suits, very sort of test type, prototype kind of looking mobile suit, then this is going to be for you. If you want something that looks sort of like a grunt kind of mobile suit, it doesn't quite have the same look as a regular Zaku 1 or Zaku 2. It definitely has more of an early look than that, so it doesn't quite look like a grunt suit. Definitely doesn't look like a lead suit, so it kind of falls into like kind of weird territory. It could maybe be passed off as a grunt suit, sort of, but even still doesn't really quite fit into there. So what I mean is that it's not, some people prefer grunt type mobile suits and some people prefer lead type mobile suits. I think this one is going to sort of transcend people's liking or preference for either one of those, and it's just going to be you like this design or not. So like maybe some people really like the design of grunt suits, but they're not going to like the design of this or whatever. So I hope that point is kind of clear. One last thing here, a little mistake that I said before, that there's no secondary handle. According to the manual, the little nub thing on the front of the handle part that's sort of sticking down is what's supposed to be kind of the secondary handle. You can't really sort of hold it, but you can just kind of put that nub into the open holding hand and it sort of looks like it's holding it. I don't know, you can also use that open left hand to place that sort of under the bazooka there somewhere if you wanted as well. So there's kind of a lot of different ways and angles that you can hold the bazooka, and I was kind of experimenting a little bit. And this pose that I've got here is okay. Not really jazzed about it, but still, anyway, it should work well enough to end our review here. So there's really not a whole lot else I can say about this. In terms of panel lines, in terms of seam lines, it really doesn't have any, really, except for maybe like on the torso, and I think even those are disguised as panel lines as well. Yeah, they are. I can see on the torso there. So really, I think the only seam lines it's going to have is on the weapon, on the bazooka, and I think even on the bazooka there's supposed to be panel lines as well. So if you want a kit that's going to be pretty light, almost non-existent in terms of seams, this is definitely going to be one of them, which is a nice relief after building the Origin Zakus that have a couple of really annoying seam lines on them, on the shoulder armor and on the forearm. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty nice kit. If this looks like something that would appeal to you, then definitely go for it. Check it out. If you like the looks of it, it's definitely worth getting. It's a really nice kit. If you're not really too into the looks, then, you know, just pass. It's not one that I would say, it's not a kit that I would say like you really have to have. Like there's some kits that I would recommend to anyone, whether you're like a really big fan of the design or not. I would say just you have to try it out. This is not really one of them, but still, cool kit. Glad we got it. Hopefully we're gonna get a lot more stuff from the Origins. Hopefully this HG line won't be ending anytime soon. There's a lot more stuff that would be cool to get from the series. So thank you guys so much for watching as usual. And if you do have any other questions or comments, leave those down below. Did you get the kit? What'd you think of it? Interested to know. So with that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.